Do not follow your passion. Crazy, right? Tai, why not? Tai Lopez here from the 67 Steps. Why shouldn't you follow your passion?
Well, I mean, it's a tough question. Obviously, I always say don't follow your passion. I say it a little bit tongue-in-cheek because in any successful venture that you're going to do in business or anything, there has to be an element of passion. But what I'm talking about is the cliche. There's a cliche out there. Actually, I just tweeted about this morning. And people forget that what you like and what you're passionate about doesn't always equate or turn into competency and excellence. And so the only real way, if you want to have impact in terms of making money or whatever impact you want to have on the world, it comes from expertise. So it's kind of like I was saying in business, there's a difference between creating value and capturing value. So some people you can think of an artist. You could make the best music in the world, better than Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, better than all these other A-list, quote-unquote, musicians. But they know how to capture the value in terms of they sell a lot of albums. So you might be a better musician than Justin Bieber, but it doesn't mean you know how to capture the value. And that's the same thing that happens in business. People tell me, hey, Tai, I got the greatest product, whatever, or I have a ton of passion in this. And I go, yeah, but have you been able to turn it into expertise, number one, that then translates into something where you actually capture the value. You sell a product. People buy it from you. Or if you're, starting a movement, people are persuaded by you. Whatever your goal is, you won't have any real lasting impact just from, hey, I love lots of stuff. I love playing basketball. It doesn't mean I'm good enough to play down here behind us at the Los Angeles Lakers Stadium.
What about someone who likes yoga, for example? It's like, oh, I'm passionate about yoga. Yeah. I want to go and work in yoga. I mean, are you saying to that person, do not go and work in yoga because you will burn out and you'll fall out of love?
Well, that's one of my mentors, Alan Nation, said, Tai, it's like marrying somebody you love. If you just marry for love, eventually love turns into, the passion goes away a little bit if you ask a couple who's been married for a while. But he said, marry somebody that you like, that you have affinity to. So passion is such a strong word that I say don't always do what you're passionate, because sometimes, I'll give you an example. Yoga. I'll just use your example. Just because yoga is your passion doesn't mean it's the only way economically you can capture value. So maybe the bigger picture is you like health. So yoga is a product that you could sell for a time or get into business, but don't lock yourself in, is my point. What you want to lock yourself in is something a little more sophisticated. So the answer to this question is a little more sophisticated. What I think all of us should do, what I should do in my life, is you should figure out this thing, and in the 67 steps I call it Eulerian destiny. So your Eulerian, some people call it Eulerian, destiny is a compilation of things that include things like, what you've been doing since you were, and what you've been doing for the last 10 years, what you have been complimented by strangers and enemies on. And there's about 5 or 6 things. There's different tests that I talk about you can take. Some of them are online, some of them aren't. Some of them are in a system that I created that we're kind of trademarking ourselves. So the real answer is figure out your destiny. This is the answer. And generally, destiny will include somewhat passion, but it's not the only overarching thing, and people elevate it to a place it shouldn't have.
About 5 years ago, I was still am a big Tottenham Hotspur fan in English Premier League, and I produced a blog called Tottenham Nation, and I was obsessed with Tottenham. I was like, all the Arsenal fans here are going, boo, And I worked on it for 6 months, and I thought this is what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Because I'm obsessed by this team, right? And then I worked on it for 6 months. I got to interview John Bon Jovi about Tottenham. I was interviewing him, and I asked him about it. And I thought that would light me up. But I actually got burned out. I was like, but after 6 months, I'm like, I cannot stand writing stories about Tottenham Hotspur anymore. I don't want to watch another game. I'm like, I'm done with this, because the fun sort of left because it became work. So is that a warning for the viewer now in terms of, whatever you think you absolutely love, you will fall out of love with it, and you have to be careful of that?
Yeah. So like I said, the Eulerian destiny, the better way to make your decision on what you're going to do is like multi-factor. So it's like 6 different factors. So if this blog on the football team, soccer team, had passed all 6 of the tests that I give in the 67 steps, or 5 or 6 of them, then, but my guess is, based on what you're saying, it only passed like 1 of the tests.
Right.
Which is, I can talk about this endlessly on a Saturday night with my friends, but that's not enough. It is not enough. And if you go through and study great people at every level, whether it's business-wise or otherwise, it's always multifaceted why they do what they do. Most people have this black and white understanding of life. This one, if it passes this one rule, if I meet a girl and she's pretty, then I'm going to marry her. No, you're not going to marry a girl or a guy just because of how they look. That would be Einstein said everything should be simple, but not simpler. So that's an oversimplification, is to just say, go into a room and marry the prettiest person. That would be a dumb rule. But you may want to factor in beauty as one of the components. But then, marrying somebody or a business partner, you don't want just a business partner who's made a lot of money. That's one factor. But what if they made a lot of money in something that has nothing to do with what you're doing? They might not be skilled. Michael Jordan was good at basketball, but he wasn't good at baseball. So you have to become multifaceted, and you need to be a little more sophisticated than that. And the world gives you very unsophisticated advice. Most books out there on business, very unsophisticated. And that's why I traveled around the world and got 5 mentors, different people, different understandings. That's why I read a book a day, because as you become more multifaceted, especially about something as important as what you do day to day for the rest of your life, because like Sigmund Freud was asked what people need to be happy, and his answer was, in German, he said, love and work. You got to get those 2 right. And I read a survey that said in the world right now, on average, people only spend 12% of their life, 12% of their day doing what they really want to be doing.
Oh, it's crazy.
88% wasted life. You don't want that. You want to have 12% of your life doing the wrong thing. 88%, there's always life things you don't want to have to do, run errands and all that, get stuck in traffic. That should only be 12% of your life. If your life, I always say, if all you're thinking about is the next vacation, this weekend, and other things, you have a serious problem. And I've had that problem, and I'm telling you, the quicker you get out of it, that's why part of the reason I made the 67 steps and the different business stuff is like, get out of it very fast, because you slowly reprogram your mind like the frog in boiling water, where at first it's like, ooh, it's hot, and then you slowly get used to it, and the next thing you know, 1 year, 1 month, 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime has gone by, and you go, I wasted my life.
Yeah. So do not waste your life.
No.
Do not follow your passion like we started here. If you want to get unstuck, if you are stuck at the moment, you don't know what you should do, the 67 steps is the best way for you to get unstuck. So we're going to put an annotation here. Just click on the link right here to get into Tai's 67 steps. The person who's watching here, if they do not know what they want to do, or maybe they know what they want to do, how is the 67 steps going to help them?
Well, it's going to take you, life for the rest of your life, whether you're trying to make multi-million-dollar business or whatever you're trying to do. Every day you'll be presented with obstacles in the road. We're talking about one today, figuring out what you want to do. That's an obstacle for most people. And so the 67 steps is what I learned from mentors, books, my own experience on the 67 things you have to have in your brain so that no matter what presents itself, no matter what difficulty arises, you immediately have the ability to track right down the right path. And that saves you a decade, a lifetime.
Yeah, save yourself a decade, because a decade turns into a lifetime, and before you know it,
and you don't have that many decades in the prime of your life. Humans, Homo sapiens, if you study them, we have one of the longest cycles, meaning you're not even fully grown till 18 to 25, and then we live long, but the prime of your life, if you're in the prime of your life, that every year wasted in the prime of your life is worth like 3 or 4 years in terms of total chronological age,
Tai Lopez, thank you very much. Just click on the link right here to take you through into Tai's 67 Steps program. Thanks, Tai.
All right, thanks.